Hi there. I thought I would do a quick video today just to share with you the mini journal that I've just completed and what inspired me to actually create something this small in the first place. Now, as some of you know, I did take part in the ICAD challenge this year, and this is a challenge which is done on index cards. It can be any size. I chose to do mine on 6x4 index cards. And I really enjoyed the process of scaling everything down, making it smaller, making it fit the card itself. Once I'd got the hang of actually scaling down my art, I was used to working on A4 size before that. It actually seemed to come really easy, and I'm not a very patient person, and to do art in this size it's actually quite quick. So if you're quite new, I've only been art journaling since January of this year, so for me this is the perfect size to work on. You can try out different paint colours, try out different techniques, and you're not working on a big white space, which is quite frightening to start with. So once I created in this size, I'd actually bought some other index cards which were 3x5, so slightly smaller, and I created some art on those, just trying out different paint colours. Didn't think too much about what I was doing, you know, throw it on, see what happens, do a bit of doodling. It's a great way to find new colour schemes as well that maybe you wouldn't have thought of in the first place. I've found a few colour schemes that I would never have thought of putting together if I hadn't have just thrown it down and actually just relaxed, not thought about it too much, put the paint down. At the end of the day, if it goes wrong and you don't like it, cover it over with some gesso, start again. It really, there isn't anything that can't be corrected. So once I'd got the hang of this size, I was actually quite fortunate about 2 weeks ago to go to an art journaling class at Art from the Heart in Harrogate with the lovely Kate Crane, which was a mini journaling weekend. Now, I still took with me my Moleskine, my small Moleskine, which is still approximately 8x5 inches. So compared to what some of the other girls were doing, that was relatively large. But that was what I was comfortable with at the time, so that was what I took with me. Some of the girls were working in the very small Moleskines, which I've got one here. This is, I think it's 14 centimetres by 9 centimetres each page, so that is quite a lot smaller than I've ever worked in before. I've not actually started working in this yet, but I probably will today, so I might have some tutorials coming up later. I actually stayed up at Harrogate because I live just outside London, so I stayed up at Harrogate in a hotel, and I took some of my supplies with me for the Friday night and the Saturday night. Once I got back to the hotel, I decided that actually I was quite inspired to make a mini journal. Kate had a fabulous one there that she'd made, which was around this size. And I really loved it when I looked through it and decided that that was what I wanted to do. I had some watercolour paper with me, so what I did was I cut some watercolour paper up into, I believe it was 5.5 by 4 centimetres, 4 inches, sorry. Gessoed front and back. So just coated each page with a coat of gesso, and then I proceeded to paint each page with a background. Some I did, you can see I've just started this one. Some I did on the individual pages, so I just started a background on those. Some I did the whole page in the same colours, and then what I made sure I did was when I actually put it together to bind it, I tried to make sure that I had contrasting colours next to each other. So this is one that I started this morning, just putting some bits and pieces together. I really enjoyed creating this, and I want to start another one. So okay, so once I had bound it together, it's just bound with string. There's some holes punched in the middle. just some regular string, parcel string. You could use twine, you could use ribbon, whatever suits you, but I just used string. That was what I had to hand, and then I had a few beads which I beaded through the end. That was it. So whilst I was there, I purchased some Dina Wakley stamps, some of the new Dina Wakley stamps. Not my usual style, to be honest, but I used one of them in the class of Kate's, and I really did like the way it came out, the effect it gave, so I decided to buy some while I was there. I printed this onto paper, stamped it onto paper, coloured it in with Prismacolor paper pencils. I'd already done the background, put some stamping, some stencils. This was one of the quotes that came with the Dina stamps. So I just stamped that, cut it out, stuck it on, a little bit doodling, and that was it. It was done. Quite quick to work on these pages because of their small size. Suits me down to the ground. I'm not a very patient person. Okay, so page 2. These are Dylusion stamps, these quotes. I'd actually forgot that I had these, and I dug them out to take with me. I love her quotes. She comes up with fabulous quotes, and they really seem to suit me down to the ground at times and express exactly how I'm feeling. So this page was quite a simple one. All I did was some blue, I think this is a golden acrylic teal paint, and it really does stand out fabulously against the red and the orange. An acrylic paint pen, I think this is a Liquitex acrylic paint pen, black food ball, and a Signo Uniball. So just a little bit of doodling on the page, and that was it, completed. Third page, I decided, I've been practicing my girls. I could never draw girls before, so I've been practicing those and decided to put one in my book. Only not a lot of detail in this one. I didn't want to put too much detail because it is a small page and I'm not completely comfortable with this size yet. It's surprising how much you can actually fit on the page, to be honest. So I drew the outline, coloured her in with paint and Prismacolors. Red hair, I love the red hair at the moment with the green. This was also one of Diane's stamps. I just cut out the piece that I wanted. Next page. This was actually a cutout of a stamp advertisement on the back of a magazine. So is this. I didn't have this stamp. I believe it's a Dina Wakley stamp. I could be wrong. But I liked the stamp itself, and it seemed to fit in with the background that I'd already created. So I cut her out, stuck her down, gave her something to stand on, and this was also a cutout from the back of a magazine. Now this background page I left pretty plain, and then I just roughly outlined the flowers with a HB pencil. I believe this is a golden acrylic red. This is the Dina Wakley magenta, and this was just a Deco Art orange, and I think this was a Deco Art yellow. Once I'd got the basics in, I've then outlined it with a food ball pen, used my Prismacolor pencils just to add a little bit of shading so that it's not so so flat, and then white Liquitex acrylic paint pen. This quote was actually, I think I cut this out of a Stampington magazine. I think it was actually on somebody else's journal page, and I really loved it. It fitted in perfectly with this page, so I cut that out and stuck it down. Now this is one of my favourite pages in the mini book. I also purchased the Dina Wakley bird stamp. I love him. He's my favourite, and they have some fabulous quotes with them. So I stamped him onto paper, coloured him in. I decided to use blues, stamped the quote directly on the page. This was coloured using Prismacolors. Added a few background bits. This is just some purple paint and white Prismacolor pencil, bit of black gel pen, and that was it, finished. Quite easy, took about, probably took about 15-20 minutes, and most of that was actually colouring the bird. This is one of my favourite quotes of the moment. It seems to really fit in with how I feel at the moment with various things. Kept it very simple, stamped the quote directly on the page. This is another one of the Dylusions quotes. Found some contrasting paint and Prismacolor pencils for a bit of shading, white Liquitex acrylic paint pen, and my food ball. This little stamp, this is a stamp from Paper Artsy Minis, which has it's a splatter stamp. Fantastic for creating paint splatters exactly where you want them, because you can precision stamp. So I do use that quite a lot. That's one of my favourites. This was just a quick page that I did one morning. I like to make something when I get out of bed in the morning before I go to the day job. It just seems to relax me. So I already had the purple background. Again, this is the golden acrylic teal. And then these were some stamps, some alphabet stamps that I purchased from Hobbycraft, which is a big art store here in the UK. Little bit of doodling, roughly around the outside. This probably took about 5-10 minutes, and that was including the drying time, so really, really quick. This one, Stampatique stamp. I love their stamps. I've not used a lot of them before, but I'm quite into them at the moment. So, and they seem to go perfectly with the Dylusions quote stamps. So this one, what I tend to do a lot of as well is the golden acrylic teal really does set a page off well if you use it as a border. So what I tend to do is just put some on my finger, run it along the edges, and just let the paint go wherever it wants to go. It really does seem to frame a page if I'm thinking that it's not quite finished. Just coloured, a few stamped words in the background, and stuck these down. Now, I've been practicing my birds. I really enjoy making these. This is probably only about the third or fourth one I've done, but I decided I definitely needed to have one in my mini book. Really simple to do these birds. I literally just do a half circle, and then just join them up. Really, really that simple, and then fill in. This is done with Prismacolor pencils, this bird. Then I just did some flowers around the outside just to add a little bit of interest, and this stamp is from the Dina Wakley bird set. Another one of Dylusions stamps. I just love these things. I wanted to do a quick page. I already had stamped some of the leaves on a piece of paper, so I just cut those out, coloured them in with my Prismas, a little bit of blue Prisma pencil, black food ball, stuck the quote down, ran a little bit of white paint around the edge. I love this Stampatique image, and it really did shout to me to go with this quote. This is what I feel like a lot of the time. We all know that feeling. Not your regular kind of angel, but I really, really love him. So I'd stamped it onto a page. I actually enlarged it slightly on my printer, coloured him in with Prismacolor pencils, cut out, stuck him down. I decided to go across the two pages with this one rather than do an individual page. Even though the two background colours are different, I think it works perfectly anyway. And again, I've edged with the golden acrylic paint teal. I love that page. This is another of the Dina Wakley girl stamps. This is not usually my style of girl, but I really do like her stamps, and I want to try and think of different ways to use them. So for now I'm just stamping them. I just wanted to see what they would come out like, what I could do with them. But I will be playing around with these a lot more. This was a quick page. This was some of the Dylusion stamps which I had stamped, coloured and cut out, and then adhered to the page. So these are all stuck down onto the page. A little bit of doodling around the edges, white gel pen, black food ball, and this is another of Dylusion stamps which I just stamped directly on the page and outlined with white. Again, I've got a little bit of the golden teal. I really do like that colour. Again, another one of the Dylusion stamps. I decided to draw a girl on this page. Not overly pleased with her, but it's a learning process. So I don't know whether it's because it's not the whole face, but I don't really feel it. It's okay, and it's a learning curve, and I want to have that in there because it shows the process that I'm going through at the moment. Now this was a one of the 3x5 index cards that I'd already made. I didn't really have time on the particular morning that I made this to do anything new, so I cut it to size, stuck it down, found a rub-on, which was, I think this is a Tim Holtz rub-on, put that on, added a few doodles, added a little bit of colour, and that was it. That was me done. So that probably took all of about 5 minutes. Again, this page, all this background colour, or a lot of the background colour, was an ATC that I'd cut out from a larger underpaper page that I used. I've always got paper in the background. Any paint I've got left over, I smear it on, I rub it, I stamp, so that I get some nice background paper. So I basically stuck that down onto the page, put another of the Dylusion's quotes on it, and then went over it with the black around the edge, white gel pen. This was some red golden acrylic paint, which I just put over the top, just to make it stand out. And I was really pleased with that. That took about 10 minutes. Another of the Stampatique stamps. This was one that I printed, I stamped and then enlarged on the printer to fit my page. Didn't do a lot to him. I just cut him out, added a little bit of paint down the bottom. This was actually, the heart was actually on his chest, so I cut that out and stuck that on the page as well. Couple of rub-ons. This one's pointing to the other page. These were Tim Holtz, I believe, and just finished. I've got a Harlequin pattern in the background there, just a little bit of doodling, and that was it, finished. Finally, to the back cover, another of the Stampatique stamps. Again, I stamped this onto paper, enlarged it slightly on my printer, cut it out, coloured it in. Didn't want anything too fancy with this one. I wanted it to stand out on the background, which was this dark colour, the same as the front. Again, this was a Tim Holtz rub-on. Once I put it down, I actually did go over the Lucky with a black food ball pen just to make it stand out and pop a little bit more. Then added the black and white around it. So that's it. That's my mini album. Each page measures 2.75 by 4 inches. It's been really fun to work on, and once I got the hang of actually scaling everything down, it seems to have worked perfectly. So I'm definitely going to be doing more of these. Just before I go, I'm just going to show you a little notebook that I picked up. So if you're not confident to make one of these yourself, I actually purchased this little notebook in one of our stationery shops over here, and it's just under 3 inches across by 4.5 inches, I believe, or was it 4 inches? 4 inches. And it's just your basic notebook. You know, it's got the you know, normal notepaper, and all I've done is, I did this one this morning, I've just gessoed the page. Once the gesso is on it, I've just carried on as normal. I've put all my paints down, you know, I've stamped, I've collaged on it and glued things down, and as you can see, it really has held up well. The back page, it's not come through. It really has held up well, so I think I'm going to do a lot more in this size notebook. Once it's gessoed, it actually seems to hold up really, really well, and it, you know, it definitely takes the paint well, so I'm going to be playing more in this one. So if you're not confident enough to make your own book, or you don't have the materials, go and buy yourself a little notebook, and see what you can come up with. Okay, well that's it from me for now. I'm going to be working on lots of stuff today because I've got a whole day of making mess to myself. So hopefully I'll have a few tutorials for you later on. Thank you.